And we kick this off. Later, of course, Focus versus Mikael, but now we focus on Germany versus Korea. The glory of the Flow network, the Flow servers. Well, we got a little spike here. Yeah. Both are, of course, playing on the level. Both are used to the conditions. It is, as you guys see, a first time ever. And that after 19 years of Warcraft. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? It's absolutely amazing if you ask me. Just as amazing as your two casters for this game. It is Carson and Remo.
Let's go, champ! Let's go, champ! Who do you got picked here to win this one, Carson?
I think XlorD, actually. He seems to be playing very well today. I think this is a matchup he's very comfortable in. I think the vetoes have gone decently for him. And, you know, if he can play that diverse style that we've seen from him already today with the fast expansion, the one-base play against Todd, then that's definitely a good way to play against Night Elf. Can he fast expand? Can he play Gargs? Can he play one base? It's all, of course, going to come down to what LawLiet plays. Is LawLiet going to play Keeper, Fast Expo? Is he going to play Demon Hunter? Will he play the Warden, although the maps are a little bit weird? So, you know, XlorD's going to have to react a bit, but I definitely put XlorD in the driver's seat here. What about you?
I think if LawLiet plays his best, he's going to win. To me, it comes down to what shape is LawLiet going to show up in, and how is the ping going to influence him. And, well. We talked about it before. The Warden might have an appearance here. Indeed, she will. Picks the Warden first. LawLiet's signature hero, the best Warden player in the world, playing a hero that is really hit or miss in this matchup. It either works out brilliantly and she wins the game for you, or you miss your timings and she falls flat on her face. You have to be super efficient. You have to play around her strengths and weaknesses very well as the Night Elf player. But I don't mind that choice at all. It's really rare to see nowadays, and it will oftentimes catch an undead off guard.
Yeah, it definitely shows LawLiet is comfortable going into this series. He was able to defeat Spiral. He looked very good there. And, you know, this is not an easy hero to play. It's definitely not the easiest map to play her on either, but it shows that LawLiet's very comfortable, very confident. He's going to go for the second Ancient War at the shop. Of course, you need to get that early creeping. You don't necessarily have to power creep level 3 Warden against Undead. You can go more aggressive on level 2 at times, but it's always nice to have a fallback Ancient War to continue creeping after you go for some initial harass. And LawLiet, of course, is a master at the multitask creeping. We'll see what XlorD's going to go for as well. He's getting backpack. What is this Death Knight movement? Can you explain exactly what I'm seeing here, Remo Demo?
Yeah, it's a more and more popular opening on Last Refuge nowadays. Whether you're facing Keeper or Demon Hunter, being very aggressive early on can be very helpful, because level 2 is going to be delayed on this map regardless, and then you can be aggressive with level 1 DK against whatever the opponent is doing. And with what Happy pioneered, with being able to get backpack and then solo creep with the ghouls, you can harass with a DK, preventing creeping on their side, and level up to level 2, maybe even level 3 with ghouls in the meantime, which takes a lot of multitasking, but the top undeads can do this. Losing the Scout Acolyte early could have been painful for XlorD if he had given too much space to the Warden, but because he played this opening so aggressive, there wasn't really a punish in sight. Now, ideally, you want to cancel the Ancient of War over at the lab if you can with the Scout Acolyte. That, of course, now is too late, but the ghouls are coming out and the Warden isn't powerful yet. I think it's very important to slow down the level 3 Warden, but know when to fall back and start creeping yourself. Normally, the way you want to have it happen is, by the time the Warden reaches level 3, you want to have either statues out or statues almost out, because the kill threat then is going to be hugely increased as the DK is going for the first green camp. Big last hit opportunity. Warden not going to invest the Shadow Strike. Could be getting surrounded here. It's a bit scary for her. And gets the first kill with the Shadow Strike.
Yeah, I like that little fake from LawLiet there. He, thought the coil was going to come in, then realized XlorD was going to be a little bit too late on that, so then commits the Shadow Strike in. There is a replenishment potion picked up by the Death Knight, so that's going to help out a ton. You could argue wards might be better here, but replenishment potion is going to be so useful to keep that Death Knight healthy. But it seems like LawLiet just going for last hits and going for ghouls right now. You tend to see the Warden players, if they want to start focusing that Death Knight, they're just going to throw all the mana on that Death Knight right away, get boots, and continue chasing. And for now, LawLiet showing His ability, he's multitask creeping at the same time, going to get closer and closer to that level 3, and he's, you know, pretty well on time to get it even before that first statue comes out that you pointed out before, so this is pretty nice. But XlorD, of course, finding his creeping as well, he's going to get that Unholy Aura, which is going to be so important to keep himself alive against that Warden. And Boots of Kel'Thuzad, the auto attacks might come into play. It's, you know, you of course prefer mana for the Warden, and, you know, of course for XlorD, he's going to prefer mana as well, but you can't complain with some more auto attack damage.
Yeah, the early and mid game, the Quarterfinal boots really good, but as we move into the late game, it's going to be all about those right clicks. A little bit more damage with the Orb of Venom might be helpful, but LawLiet is not really the guy who just goes blindly for the hero kill over and over with Shadow Strike, like Yangi, for example, showed in the past. But here we go. Warden gets level 3 just perfectly in time, and that's a TP forced, just like that.
Yeah, there's plenty of Shadow Strikes. I like that XlorD TPs earlier rather than later. Just dodges that Shadow Strike and gets back home to his Blight where he can heal up. He could even buy a potion now if he really needs to, but luckily for him, he's got that replenishment potion. LawLiet not doing anything too crazy yet. No secondary hero, no expansion yet, no tier 3 tech, although we should see that pretty soon. For XlorD, of course, second Necropolis, the standard way to deal with the potential Warden harass that might actually be coming in right now. Staff of Teleportation purchase on the Warden. And thus begins the beginning of an era, and that era is killing Acolytes, Remo Demo.
Yeah, that's why we have the second Necropolis over here. This is the adjustment you have to make against Warden. It's almost the same cost as Ziggurat, hardly more expensive in gold, just by a bit, and it gives you that security. Of course, when the DK is at home, you can also save those Acolytes, but that's not always going to be necessarily the case. And the Warden now, any kill she can get here is a bonus, but it's mostly about creating space for the second hero, which is the Panda. Both very level-hungry heroes, the Warden and the Panda, but Last Refuge, a good map to go for this, as there's a lot of creeps here to go around Panda with a quick level 2, and we continue thanking your great support guys out there. Crizer with the 85-month resub, thank you very much. Fake Fast Jam with a 5 euro donation says Frostmourne Hunger, spare the dwarf this time though, go Todd. Stars and Stripes with a gifted sub to the Viking. Kartoffelgoon with a 8-month resub. Russell Allen Fan with a sub. Ralphis with a 35 months says 3 years to go, less than 3. And Dodo with the 5 months. Thank you guys all very much. And this game so far, looking pretty good for LawLiet, I would say. Problem is, you can get outscaled by undead heroes potentially with this hero combo. Because the Warden, yeah, she's good in early game and mid game, but honestly, in the late game, if she doesn't get level 5, her impact isn't going to be felt too impressively. The Panda, yes, but the Warden will fall off here before too long.
But the creeping so far from LawLiet has been absolutely tremendous. He's going to even deny that Shadow Priest. It's this, it could have potentially been a surround.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, he actually just gets it.
Oh my god.
And there's Staff of Teleportation, but there is a Shadow Strike as well. Breath of Fire, perhaps. Ooh, on cooldown. If there was a Breath there, that could have almost been the kill threshold. In the meantime, XlorD is creeping as well, but LawLiet seems to just be in full control here in the mid game.
That was sick, dude. He denied the Shadow Priest, preventing level 3, and then surrounded him with an uprooted Ancient of War. Not every day you see this. But now finally the DK did get level 3. Ritual Dagger once again. I feel like it's almost the item of the tournament already. And is going to have statues finally. That late graveyard really hurt XlorD, slowing down those statues. But looking pretty good now. Tier 3 is finished. Orb is going to be picked up. And a Dark Ranger thrown into the mix would make XlorD scale very strongly into the late game.
Panda continues to power creep. He's going to find a Book of the Dead. Also found a Potion of Vulnerability much earlier from that shop. That's going to come in definitely into play a little bit later. The first bears are out for the LawLiet, going to help with that creeping as well. XlorD going to continue to try to get that Lich. Level 3 and even getting level 4 in the Death Knight not going to be too much of a problem for him as well as he goes to the shop. A lot of good items here. Of course, the Greater Mana would be the ideal, but Greater Heal also. Potion of Vulnerability, can't complain with that. Ogre Magi actually just totally stops. That was a little bit of an interesting thing there, but I guess that's just how the Bloodlust AI tends to work. And the Bears, soon to be master as well as abolished, soon to be ready for the Dryads. LawLiet might be ready to either fight or expand or maybe contest some big camps, which may end up being the red.
A big question here is if XlorD is going to go for a third hero or not. So far, it doesn't look like he will. Not picking up the Dark Ranger. The Dark Ranger isn't a hero who has the highest impact against Night Elf, but it's like a premium fiend. She's going to level up over time, and once she's level 3, the level 2 Black Arrow is actually really good. Normally you don't play her against Demon Hunter because she just gets burned and is kind of underwhelming. But a nicely timed silence against a Warden and a Panda, and as I said, those Dark Minions can be a big help, but the window is closing. Of course, also valuable to just solo level these heroes up. I guess there's a big argument also to just play DK and Lich because there's going to be no mana burn this time, which means Coil Nova is always going to be reliable. And if you get that to level 3, it's going to be very strong.
Oh dear Lord, Remo Demo. They both got great items here. XlorD gets Endurance Aura, but LawLiet gets the nuts. He gets Khagars. That is absolutely insane for the Bears, for the Dryads, and particularly for the Panda and the Warden, which are purely mana dependent, despite being an agility and a strength hero. That is an insane item for LawLiet.
Yeah, that is the best item on the map. It is, thank God, not as good anymore as it used to be. It used to be 0.75 mana per second. Nowadays it's 0.5. So it's a big nerf that was dealt to it in the most recent patch, but still very good. Increasing mana everywhere. We see Banshees now coming into play, by the way. And the anti-magic could make a ton of sense over here. Nice staff transfer onto the Lich. Even denies the Banshee right there. Nicely done. But that's one more kill. A bit more gold forced out here by the Warden.
And there's one Fiend chilling. I'm wondering if he's worried about a potential... It might have just been waiting for the backpack to grab the orb. I'm unsure of the timing there, but maybe he's a little bit worried about a Zeppelin drop. That's always a potential for LawLiet. Drop the Panda in, drop a couple of Bears in, go for the gold mine kill. Suddenly, behind maybe an expansion attempt. Definitely, even if that doesn't happen, XlorD should be worried about potential continued Acolyte harass. There's only... Okay, now he's going into a second temple. So it is going to be a big commitment into that anti-magic shield, which is also going to be useful for this Acolyte harass too in the future.
The Warden almost able to steal the last hit. Getting level 4 would be nice for the Blink. It doesn't make her much stronger in the damage department, but it would just give her a lot of quality of life in terms of movement. Yeah, Banshees have been seeing more and more play in this matchup, pioneered as so often by Happy. He was the first one to start doing it against Foggy in their numerous series, and it was at the last Season 6 W3Champions final where LawLiet lost to Happy with a Banshee style.
Yeah, it can get to the point where you can... If you have the numbers of Banshees, of course, and you also need the mana, it's not as easy as just building a couple of Banshees and then you're at that point. But if you can get the numbers, you can get anti-magic shield on everything and then take a nice fight when it's still fresh, when it's still soaking up all that magic damage, it can be extremely strong because that's pretty much all LawLiet has is the magic damage. He's only got 2 Bears right now. He is going into some Hippogriffs eventually once he breaks upkeep. For now, he's just banking. For now, in fact, both players are just banking. The map is about to be entirely crept out. The Panda almost reached level 5 from the creeping. The Death Knight also made his way to level 5, but I'd definitely say of these 2 heroes, the Panda probably the more impactful one on level 5.
Yeah, especially if there's an anti-magic covering everything, then the AoE damage is going to be sick. Warden should perhaps retrain into Fan of Knives as well. But LawLiet played this pretty smart so far. You mentioned the bear count, keeps it low so that he doesn't get hard counted by the Banshees too much. The most painful thing you can have facing Banshees is just 3 bears getting stolen, and suddenly there's Roar and Rejuve on the undead side with anti-magic, with statues, which, oh boy, let me tell you, is not a good feeling. So I wonder what's going to be the late game army here for LawLiet. In my opinion, the best thing you can do against Banshee play is mass archers with marksmanship. That's also dangerous against high-level undead heroes, of course.
That's interesting. I haven't actually seen that before. And LawLiet is going for less of an army approach currently. He's just banking a more of just a lame approach, as it seems. He's got the Invis Pot. He's about to retrain to Fan of Knives. He's expanding at the red camp at the bottom right. He has a Zeppelin in place to get the Warden out if he really needs to. He's even going to staff the Panda in. This is ambitious. He's going to get all the Acolytes, but still he's definitely going to have to Town Portal out here.
Reactions by XlorD a bit late. Could have used more anti-magic there. He had the Banshees all next to the Acolytes, but didn't use it right away in time. Might force a TP here, but no, actually the Zeppelin gonna get the Panda out of there. Nicely done. And the DK staffed back home. Didn't see the expansion yet. XlorD a little bit overwhelmed with the multitasking there.
Yeah, I guess that's all LawLiet's trying to do right now is just buy time for this expansion. He's going to continue to harass, going to continue to invest probably in those invis pots. I would imagine he'll get one right now. There's another one. No potion of invulnerability either, though, and I imagine that Zeppelin will soon not get as much value as it just did. So this could get expensive for LawLiet, but for now it's only costing XlorD. XlorD, who goes across the map now. LawLiet sees the undead forces go across the map. The expansion about to be up, but XlorD seems to be going towards the main base. He's getting tired of this hit and run, and who wouldn't be?
Trying to force the fight, and LawLiet now going to have the perfect opportunity to punish this. Panda and Warden going to come in against the expansion again, or against the main rather. There we go. Triple kill right away against the Acolytes. And that's the Panda on level 5 now. It's going to be huge damage. I think he's just going to take out this Haunted Gold Mine here potentially. Has the mana to do it, but no, going to use the staff, get back home, and defend here in the main.
Yeah, XlorD could just back away here. He probably can assume there's an expansion up somewhere. There's actually a second expansion coming up for LawLiet at his natural now as well. It's going to be tough for XlorD to break this. There's so much Moonwell mana in the back thanks to the Wellspring. The positioning with the Ancient War is beautiful. There's even a Fairy Dragon to boot. Wisps could also be used to detonate on the Banshees and the heroes and the statues. And the Panda's about to break all these shields in a second, as is the Warden. This is going to be tough for XlorD. He still has a shot in this fight, but he just doesn't seem to have the stronger army right now, or the stronger heroes.
And once the possession comes in, we immediately see the staff, the bear saved that way. LawLiet having a great fight here so far. Even fairies in the back against which there is no web yet. It's not being researched. Resources here for XlorD, though, still looking pretty good. 700 gold, 700 lumber. But LawLiet about to have 2 expansions standing. Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire, and the Fell Knife. So much damage. Another Fiend goes down. Some Banshees as well. And that was a great exchange for LawLiet.
So well done by LawLiet. Such patient play. He keeps the army in the back. He harasses with the heroes. The difference in the main gold mines is about, what, 700 right now. So, and that's a lot of Acolytes that have also had to be reproduced. The gold mines also had to be repaired in the meantime. So XlorD might need to use his trademark patience here, but there's of course going to be a 3-base Night Elf soon, Remo Demo.
Yeah, the statues are also mostly out of mana, so should it come to an extended engagement once again, that's going to be a problem. Again, the Catgus Pipe has been magnificent for LawLiet. And this late game, going so heavily into LawLiet's favor, I think comes mostly from a scouting error by XlorD. He just didn't check the bases quickly enough. He was on a scouting mission with the DK, but that was too slow. He should have used a Ghoul as well. He got caught off guard by this expansion. Had he seen it earlier, he could have cancelled the expo. He could have prevented a second base for the Night Elf. He could have kept this 1 base versus 1 base. And if you get up to like 75 supply, Fiend, Banshee, that is really hard to counter for the Elf if he doesn't have an economic lead. But LawLiet played it extremely smart, being very evasive, playing kind of guerrilla tactics here to get ahead a little bit here and there, and now finds himself with a huge lead.
He's even going into Mountain Giants now as well. He has the supply to get 2 of those bad boys, so that's going to be pretty sweet. He's got the Warden and the Zeppelin, but the Fiend is at the back of the gold mine ready for that. But LawLiet doesn't even mind. He's now mining on 3 bases, and the gold mines in the mains are soon to be out. It's going to be a few minutes, of course, for XlorD, especially before his main's out. So I guess the best bet for XlorD is just to chill until the mains are out and then go for what probably could be a 70-75 supply army. It's going to be difficult to actually get a direct fight with LawLiet, because if you go to one of the 2 expansions, LawLiet probably just goes to your main base and is happy that he still has a mining base himself. But we'll see if XlorD can find a way to force the fight at one of these expansions for LawLiet.
Yeah, it would be a crazy comeback here if XlorD makes this work. Thanks to the Shades, he now knows about the plight he's in, about all the expansions. And yeah, LawLiet about to be on 4 bases. That is pretty scary. Upgrades looking better and better for LawLiet. Now the only thing he doesn't have, oh no, he just got it, is actually the Shredder for more lumber. And look at those Dryads and Bears. 1 attack upgrade, 3 armor upgrades. Unusual to see, but I think it makes a lot of sense. The units just have to survive, and then the Warden and the Panda pump in the damage.
Oh, the Warden and the Panda doing the damage to the main base now. The Zeppelin picked up both of them, and as soon as XlorD goes across, LawLiet goes into the main base. But XlorD's going to find at least one of the expansions. LawLiet's going to give it up, but he's going to kill the gold mine. He's going to supply block XlorD. So this is as much economy as XlorD's going to have in this entire game. So what can he do with a 60 supply army? And he's eventually going to have to react to this panda, or the panda's literally going to kill his whole base.
Yeah. Smart play by LawLiet, never giving XlorD the easy fight that he wants and picking him apart little by little. Just a few scouting errors by XlorD making for this possibility. And now we have still a big army for LawLiet left. Getting pushed into the main. This is XlorD saying, come on, fight me right now. But LawLiet saying, hell no. Just moves across the map with his whole force.
Yeah, he doesn't. He literally just wants to play the base trade. He might like lose some in transition. He could lose this berserker, maybe this archer, this mountain giant. Definitely not going to go down. And you know, the panda and the warden are slowly but surely killing the main. But LawLiet isn't. I guess you could say there's a small chance for him to lose a bit too much in transition here. But he's probably got this on lockdown. He's going to town portal back home, get more mana, and then he'll definitely be ready to still win the fight after he TPs. Not without taking the gold mine, the ziggurats, the black citadel, all with him.
Man, super smart play. This is just tactically perfect by LawLiet. Doing exactly everything he can right to play his advantage to the fullest. Because if he takes that fight, yeah, he would be favored, but he might lose that fight. But if he just goes for the buildings and plays this hit and run, it's almost impossible for XlorD to win this game. He's reducing the odds greatly here is LawLiet for him to possibly lose this game. But he wants to cut with a bang. He's got 4 gym roosts.
Yeah, dude. He's got the gold to make it work, too. I mean, he's got 1,600 gold. He's got 2 bases now mining. The other red camp is about to be mining. His Moonwells are still pretty healthy. He could get more mana on the heroes. There is Potion of Invulnerability on both the heroes. He's trying to break that shield right now from the Banshees, but there's still a lot of Banshee mana. 56 supply against 73. A very small chance for XlorD, but a chance nevertheless.
Here we go. Twin-headed dragons coming in. Chimeras. The scary flying magic damage dealers of the Night Elves, of which we haven't seen much recently. There used to be a time in the meta not too long ago when against human we saw that a lot against knights, but as of late, not so much. Now we're gonna see them once again. The flashiest unit in the Night Elf arsenal, with which you can burst through these anti-magic shields pretty quickly.
And he's doing that right now with the heroes, but the heroes are using pretty much all their mana on those shields currently. But of course, there's going to be more than enough army behind LawLiet's heroes to now suffice damage-wise. The 3 Chimeras about to be out. The Panda continue to use Breaths of Fire. The Fan of Knives come in as well. The Fairy Dragons even getting into the fray. They're actually doing quite good damage to the Banshees and the statues. Oh my god. But the statues are actually almost completely out of mana. The Chimeras are going to be out in a second, and this might be the end of game 1.
Again, Hayes, Breath of Fire, Fan of Knives, and in come the chimps. Oh my god, everything lining up perfectly. And that is just way too much damage. Finally, a possession comes through. Bear now on the underside could use Roar, but it doesn't really matter. 1 Chimera has even been taken up, but the heroes here are completely taken over. Fan of Knives and Breath of Fire over time. More and more. Warden gets to level 5. XlorD tried his best, but he has been bested on map number 1. As LawLiet with his very own style. With the Warden plus Panda, it's going to take this lead. GG.
And the first ever game between these two goes to LawLiet. What a smart play throughout this entire game. Wasn't the flashy micro moves, but we even got that in with like an Engine of War part of a surround, when you ever see that. And then, yeah, just playing it so smart. At some point in the game, I thought, okay, see, is he falling asleep or something? The Panda was just standing there for minutes. The army was mostly in LawLiet's own base. He didn't need that if you have a Warden. If you have a Panda that can cause trouble, well, that's how you play Night Elf versus Undead if you're as good as LawLiet, who was really, really, really good.
Yeah, that was just tactically, as Remo put it, just very, very well played. The positioning on the heroes, the timing of the harass, where the army was placed, and how he moved the army to actually purely avoid the fight was just so well done. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. And there was so many points in the game when LawLiet could have won a fight. He could have just probably defended in his base, won the fight, won the game, but why not just get further ahead? Why not get a bigger economic edge? Why not get a bigger supply lead, experience lead? Why not play for the super late game against somebody who's so experienced in these, super late game scenarios as XlorD is? Why not play for the bigger advantage? And I just love to see it from LawLiet. It's so well played.
Yeah, if the ping isn't the best, just dodge direct confrontation. Glorious, glorious play by LawLiet. Glorious support coming in for us. The Real Tinker, 22 month. Thank you. Trova and Sick Boy for the sub as well. Love you guys. And yeah, we are getting ready for map number 2. We are ready indeed. Go, go. XlorD seemingly in a rush. So how far can we take this? In the early game, of course, there's a chance for you to participate in our raffle giveaway to win a CORSAIR headset, mouse, or 5 Reforged keys. And of course, time to celebrate W3Champions. We're getting closer and closer to the $4,000 prize pool. But we're still 260 away. Chip in over at Match Reno. You can find it by typing W3Champions in the search or use !W3C finals. Then our bot helps you out. Thank you, Robot. Half a year of subbing. Wonderful to have you here. And now we got the wonderful map Concealed Hill and the 1-0 lead for the Korean. Will he be the first player in the Winnerbracket semi-final at the bottom part of the bracket, or can XlorD strike back?
All right. So there's probably not a lot of potential for Warden on this map. I would be very surprised to see Warden on this map. So we'll probably see LawLiet move over to the Keeper play. If not, maybe a Demon Hunter. And for XlorD, there's more potential here. We could see Gargs. We don't necessarily have to see the Fiend army, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, it will be the Keeper for LawLiet to start us off, and wouldn't be surprised to see the later Gargs from XlorD on Concealed Hill.
Yeah, Keeper here makes a lot of sense. If you don't play Keeper, expanding on this map is almost impossible. Now, you don't have to expand, but it's pretty nice to expand. LawLiet in the past was one of the best Night Owls at playing one base versus Undead with the Demon Hunter and Naga play, but that's really not so much the meta anymore. You mentioned the Warden, and indeed, she is almost impossible to play here, but I did once see a game, LawLiet versus Mikael, and Mikael got completely destroyed. That was pretty sad to see. LawLiet, it's kind of flying under the radar because he doesn't face so many top undeads in Asia, but normally if he's in top shape, he's really, really good in this matchup. Especially, I feel, late game strategy wise, he knows exactly what he has to do positionally and doesn't take any stupid fights, as can very quickly happen when you have, a big Dried army overextending, fighting into Blight or in a bad position into meat wagons or something. LawLiet normally has a very good idea of what he needs to do and how he has to move through a game to get that W.
Yeah, I think that's super important for the top Night Elves. You see that a lot from Moon as well. That's something Foggy's been getting a lot better at as well, is when to take fights, always taking fights on your terms, in a good position, not overextending into the fights, and just, the general base defense when they do get frustrated, your opponent, and finally say, okay, you're not going to fight me on my terms, I'm just going to push into your base. Then you just have the perfect setup, perfect positioning in your own base. It's something LawLiet's always been super good at, and we, of course, just saw that in the last game. So now the idea for LawLiet would be, of course, to try to get this Death Knight out of his face, try to realize where the ghouls are on the side of XlorD, and then try to get that quick expansion up. Ideally, like you said, there's a chance for LawLiet to not play a fast expansion. I'd definitely be very surprised to see him not do that. So for now, he's going to be trying to get enough space to build that fast expansion, and XlorD is going to be looking to definitely delay the Keeper's creeping and to potentially cancel that expansion if possible.
Okay, once again have the backpack opening. TK slowing down this Keeper as much as he can while minimizing the health he's going to lose. And then it's going to be the job of the ghouls to move out and start creeping and get that DK, the level 2. But of course, LawLiet, aware of this possibility, going to go for his staff. I like that a lot. So with that and the Wisp in the south, he can also threaten that creeping himself.
Yeah, I like that he still let staff away, because if not, XlorD probably would have bought it. So that's pretty nice. It just keeps the Death Knight very safe. It'll keep the Lich safe in the future as well if XlorD wants to go for some pressure with the Lich on early tier 2 against what could be a Demon Hunter second. So I do like the fact that LawLiet gets that early because he can always find a ton of value with that as well. He's going to find a ton of value with the creeping. He can get level 2 off just one turtle and then just going to back away. There's the entangle, and this is where the staff might have come into play, but nice skeleton positioning for XlorD. Yeah. Going to save him from that surround.
Very good. Counter block. Big last hit. Oh, he just barely got it. Oh my god, that was like right on the edge, right?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Hardly enough damage right there. And now the ghoul is going for the next camp. This is also very smart by XlorD. Normally you go towards the orange camp first, but he knows, all right, the keeper might be shocking around, might be looking for damage. So I'm going to go for the easier, safer camp first for the green and get their secured experience. Again, trying with the entangle surround, but the treant gets coiled. And that's sort of mana going kind of into nowhere because this damage on the DK, where on other maps it would be relevant, here it's going to be easily healed with a fountain.
Yeah, a little bit of an ambitious second surround attempt. I think the first one was justified for LawLiet. The second one definitely wasn't going to happen unless something crazy happened or a mistake from XlorD. And yeah, like you said, the healing on the Death Knight and the Fountain, and XlorD doesn't mind because he can just creep with the ghouls at the same time. He's already crept the 1 orange camp. He got his level 2, and he can maybe start to creep the shop. It sucks he doesn't have the staff because if he started the shop right now himself, he could maybe staff there in the future. Expansion coming up, but the timing for XlorD, is this good enough to cancel with just a Death Knight? He's got 1 set of skellies as well, and there's a critter to the top left.
There's the Acolyte corpse right there. He knows it. Oh, and no wisps here yet. A bit too early. However, because the cancel is so early, it's not going to slow down LawLiet too much, but, that still costs some resources. That's at least 100 gold here that he lost.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that sloppy from LawLiet or just unlucky? Because, of course, there was no chance for really the ghouls to come at that stage and cancel it, but the Death Knight just gets there at the perfect time. If he's a little bit later, he can't do it on his lonesome. Maybe a little sloppy from LawLiet, though.
Okay, not setting it up again. This is starting to be getting worrisome. Oh, and LawLiet shifting gears. He's teching tier 3 now. He's deviating from the norm. No.
Deviated!
Yeah, I caught myself off guard with that one. Yeah, he's not going with the expansion on tier 2. He's going tier 3 instead, which is slowing down the expansion timing immensely, which is a problem with the keeper. You trade in weak late game for a good early game and a fast expansion. Now, this time is going to be looking a lot more rough.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen Night Elves have much success playing. This definitely won't be one base forever, but at least one base up until tier 3. I haven't seen them have a ton of success, but LawLiet always has the opportunity to pull back in a game by just playing maybe a little bit more lame than other Night Elves would. Of course, if you don't have that fast expansion, you don't have that sort of weakness that the undead can push and force you into a fight. So the fact LawLiet's only on 1 base might help him to play a little bit more hit and run. He's got Keeper level 3 now. He's going to start with that Harass. The Demon Hunter is going to try to creep up himself. The Ancient War perfectly on time as it always is, but XlorD also going to have level 3 Death Knight probably perfectly on time as well.
Keeper finds his way into the main. It's going to be at least 1 Acolyte going down, possibly 2. Needs to do some damage here. DK running back. Ghouls solo creeping. Oh, wow. Nice overview. Even keeping all the ghouls alive. And that means the rest of the Acolytes should be surviving this ordeal. By the way, thank you for your continued support, guys. More subs coming in. The Real Tinker with the 22 months. Troa Warcraft 3 with the 10 months. Sick Boy with the 6 months. Robon with the 6. Executive Boss with a Prime sub. And Todd with the raid.
And
thank you.
While we're at it, Todd just defeated Spiral with 2 and 1, so we will see him tomorrow again when he's up against Colorful in the lower bracket. And we got a big donation towards the prize pool, everybody. It is now at 4,000. I have to check who that was, and you will get a proper shout out. But hey, that's a good number right there.
Hype. We're getting up there. We're getting up there.
Also, Todd's win here against Spider, that was super quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a 2-1 as well, wasn't it? It was 2-1.
How the hell was that so fast? Was it just tower pushes? Interesting.
Yeah, maybe Keeper 2 racks hunts every game. Who knows?
OC
Sonic
style?
ways. Yeah, OC style. Yeah, that's truly the OC style. So it's weird. Tell me what. Because for LawLiet, obviously, he wants to get Demon Hunter level 3. He wants to get an expansion up eventually. But if XlorD doesn't have an expansion to push, what are really his goals in this late mid game? Does he want to get an expansion? Does he want to keep creeping? Like, is XlorD happy just to creep the map if it's one base here?
Yeah, I think he must be. He's got the strong scaling heroes into the late game. Of course, there's a Demon Hunter on the other side, neutering those undead heroes a bit, but especially the Keeper is going to fall off heavily. And I think you can just expand here on 50 supply. It's something that Happy has shown plenty before, even just to counter-expand against a faster Night Elf expansion. But here, since the Night Elf didn't have a quick expo on tier 2, just going for your own expansion at around 50, I think could be a wonderful play for XlorD indeed. And he's making the 6th Acolyte, indicating that a bit. Keeper comes in for some Acolyte harass, and that definitely also is going to make XlorD think that there's going to be an expansion happening on the other side. Because you mentioned earlier, this hit and run style that LawLiet shows a lot. And normally designed, of course, to buy time.
And LawLiet, if he was paying attention, he'll see... Well, he'll see the Black Citadel producing an Acolyte before he drops that Keeper. Whereas now it makes sense to be producing an Acolyte, but before... Okay, he's got a Wisp there, so he does know about the expansion. So we'll probably just go into 2-base here. I'd be surprised to see either player wanting to push here. LawLiet seems to be wanting to play a little bit more passive just overall, and XlorD, of course, needs to be defending his expansion and his main base currently, so we might just be seeing good old-fashioned 2-base Elf vs. Undead.
Yeah, this was a great harass tip. Look at the gold mine. It's a huge difference. Now, some of that was from earlier already when one Acolyte died on the way to tier 3, but LawLiet always finds great damage to put in, a little bit here and there. And this is, I think, where he's looking a lot better here in this series than last season against Happy. Because Happy is usually a lot quicker to realize these run-by plays and then to be in position instantly to minimize the damage tremendously. Whereas here, XlorD always takes a bit of damage. In the first map, he applied anti-magic too late. Here, he didn't have a destroyer around. He wasn't scouting too much. If there was a destroyer morphed and in the main defending, this would have been a lot less painful. But it's still a very even game. Both players here are going to have their expansion up soon. And still sitting at 50 supply each.
Yeah, you mentioned the scouting last game on Last Refuge for XlorD, and I think that's also come into play this game. It's, of course, difficult to scout as perfectly as Happy tends to, but, you know, knowing about that Zeppelin a little bit earlier, knowing about the expansion coming up a little bit earlier. If you see the expansion coming up, you can probably guess that the Keeper's coming aggressive across the map. Very difficult to do, but these are the things you need to do to not get behind economically, and right now, about a 400 gold difference, which is pretty much exactly where we are at after that initial Warden Panda harass on Last Refuge. So definitely not the end of the world for XlorD, but maybe the 2 bears and the 2 heroes and the Sapper coming in could make a difference. A couple of archers going down towards the expansion, but it's all a distraction.
The thing is, here, like Happy would realize right now, and XlorD has as well, the heroes aren't here, which means the heroes will be attacking in the main. This was a distraction. And with a move like that, you can also expect a Zapper. But again, he doesn't see it right away. He doesn't react right away. And there we go. That's big damage being taken.
So sick. He gets both Ziggs perfectly setting himself up, attacking them preemptively. Staffs the bear out, saves another bear in the Zeppelin, and just town portals away. The cherry on top would have been if the Dryads went down, but actually XlorD had 2 Fiends chilling at his expansion as well. What a sick play. And yeah, I think XlorD could have realized a little bit earlier that that was happening. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, once you see those Dryads at the expo without heroes there, you immediately have to think, okay, maybe there's something in the main. So what you do is send the Destroyer over there and also really be on the lookout for those Zappers. If you slow them down right away with the Black Citadel and the tower, you're going to take a lot less damage. That's, of course, you know, easily said from our perspective. We're just sitting here and chilling in the heat of the battle. And in this late game stressful situation, it's not harder to make that all perfectly happen, but there is some room for improvement here in XlorD because he's not reacting absolutely perfectly. Is suffering quite a bit here and there.
Yeah, and if those 2 Ziggurats didn't go down, this would have been totally in XlorD's favor. He killed, I believe, 2 archers, maybe even a little bit more towards his expansion. Of course, the Sapper's a big investment. And, you know, the town portal were just traded there, too. So this actually would have been a trade in XlorD's favor had he caught that Sapper there. And, you know, that's probably pretty doable. Catching the Zeppelin, tricky, but catching the Sapper, something he could definitely work on in the future. But for now, he's going to have to defend his expansion. LawLiet just ping-ponging back and forth. And he's going to pull ahead slightly economically. Both players, or at least LawLiet's actually the only one banking. XlorD's already broken upkeep.
LawLiet's having a lot of resources. He does have a Shredder now once again, so he's getting very rich. Not setting up crazy late-game tech yet. Not going for any chims or something like that. But he gets a big scout off here in the main. Sees the temple. Knows that if there's going to be a lot more time here passing by, he's going to have to get ready against Master Banshees again. If he gets a Temple cancel, that would be pretty huge, but I don't think he has enough damage here in the back. Again, pulls back the army, losing nothing, and might be able to get out here with double staff. Probably going to have to TP out, so it's going to cost him that TP, but again, well worth it for the tiny bot. Ooh, was a little bit close with the demon. That was alright.
Yeah, if he did have maybe the Staff of Teleportation on the Demon, he could have gotten out, but he ate the Coil Nova on the Keeper, so he couldn't use the Staff of Teleportation and the Staff the other way around there. Going into double Ancient Wind now, of course, that's a transition you kind of have to make in the late game, because or else how do you deal with the Destroyers? Really, you can't go too Dryad heavy or the Fiends just eat you alive. And now the supply advantage for XlorD might come into play. There's no 2 bases to fall back on, 2 expansions that would be for LawLiet this time around, so he definitely needs to defend his expansion, and right now he's breaking upkeep to try to defend, but he doesn't have the Hippogriffs quite yet, so if there's a Chain Morph on the Destroyers, XlorD could definitely take a nice fight here.
Tricky play by XlorD, by the way. Aware that this temple was scouted, he unsummons the temple and goes for 2 more crypts, so he wants to go into Gargs now, having telegraphed Fiend Banshee, which is kind of a cool move. Inspired here also by Happy, who has been showing more and more against Foggy how good Gargs can be in the late game. The later the game goes, the bigger the armies grow, the harder it's going to be to properly focus fire with the orb for Fiends, just because they take up so much space with their collision size. Going to be much easier for Gargoyles. And this is where things get tricky. Gargs versus Hippogriffs, always a weird interaction.
Yeah, it's always extremely one-sided. You can never tell for who it's going to be one-sided for. Of course, a couple things you can do to help yourself out. One thing we see from Happy all the time, maybe not too much recently, but definitely in the past, an immediate Dreadlord, which a Dreadlord would telegraph the Garg, so maybe he doesn't want to go for that too early, but later on. And of course, a Retrain and a Thorn's Aura for the Keeper. Heal Scrolls, Protection Scrolls, going to be very, very impactful. I also like the preemptive Shade for XlorD. When he got that last game, it was a little bit too little too late. Whereas this game, he's going to be able to use it to the full extent of its capabilities. He's going to get a ton of value, see the Hippogriff numbers. He's going to see where the army's positioned. Is there a Sapper? Has he broken upkeep? Is he going Chimeras? So much information from the Shade.
I'm going to know that he's going to have to go over to the expansion here to defend. But again, this is just LawLiet poking. He doesn't want to fully commit here. Just do a bit of free damage if you can and get out with the staves. Or staves, rather.
Yeah, I still don't know which one of those is right, by the way. I say staves sometimes. I don't know if that's right.
I think it's staves as well, if I'm not mistaken. But this was a great, also predictive play by LawLiet, going for those double Ancient of Wind early in case he has to go into Hippogriffs. Now, the fact is, even if you don't go up against Gargs, having Hippos in the late game is good. So once you're stable on 2 bases and have mined a lot of resources, just going double Ancient of Wind, I think is a good idea. We saw Foggy before being sometimes hesitant to do this, who was mostly, or for a long time, convinced that Hippos weren't so good, but if you have the right amount of them, they can work out very well. XlorD now trying to catch this Keeper, force him at least into an Invul Potion, perhaps into a TP. Oh my god, he just watched it off with a staff. What a Chad.
That was ballsy. I mean, the Demon Hunter was still in the thick of things, could have been surrounded. Of course, the Keeper could always come in and staff, and there was a greater heal, but still very risky there. The upgrade advantage will be for LawLiet. He's about to have 2-2 against 2-0, which could come into play. The numbers of air units look to be slightly in favor of XlorD, but maybe there's enough Hippogriffs.
Oh, he used the Roar without Hippos in range. They're not affected here by the damage buff. Some of them getting webbed, and that means only half the Hippos are fighting in the air, and the Gargoyles clearly taking that fight so far. But Bears and Dryads still on the ground. Maybe they can clean this up after. Keeper had to go back to the Moonwells to heal up once again. DK dropping really low. Forced to TP out over here, which is a blessing for LawLiet because he was losing quite a bit. But so was XlorD, to be fair. Both players down to around 60 supply as this game keeps going.
Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty even fight. It was definitely in XlorD's favor for about the first 10 seconds, and it's going to come down to seconds in these air versus air fights. Everything's going to be dead. All the Gargs, all the Hippogriffs are going to be dead pretty much right away. We see both players ending that fight with about 3 Gargs versus 2 Hippogriffs left over. This is around the point in the game where we tend to see the Night Elf going for that middle expansion. LawLiet has an Archer there, but I'm wondering when a player is going to make that plunge, go for that attempted high ground expansion. Okay, we see Wisp going across now. And of course, holding that high ground can be very, very effective. Not so much in air versus air because the high ground advantage doesn't come into play, but the double Ancient Protector for LawLiet. I love this preemptive play. Could be scouted by the Shade, though.
Wow, did you see that reaction time by the Shade? He
That
got
was sick.
revealed and instantly pulling it back. Like, dating back to WC3L and EPS days. XlorD's overview with the Shade is the best in the world, I think is pretty clear. Not often seen, but in the right game, if it's a slow enough game, that Shade can absolutely be huge. And the Ghouls, being sent into the middle, might be able to find the cancel on at least one of these APs.
Yeah, he saw it with the Shade earlier, and yeah, he's definitely gonna be able to get one, and the Archer's there to help, and actually a staff there as well. LawLiet wants to protect these APs. If he gets them up, of course, he can move that Tree of Eternity over when the gold mines are out. He already has Nature's Blessing, and there's about a little bit more than a minute left of mining in the main gold mine, at least of LawLiet. XlorD does a tiny bit more, but definitely this is the win condition for LawLiet on Concealed Hill, especially, holding this high ground expansion.
I think XlorD needs to go into a Dreadlord here, third. Just that aura would have huge effect in Garg versus Hippo air battles. Also retrain into Thorns would make a lot of sense for LawLiet. Treants at this part in the game hardly do anything anymore. Did you see that grand final game, Foggy versus Happy on this map? I think it was the first map in the best of 5.
Which one?
The Concealed Hill game. It was kind of similar. Both were expanding. At some point, we went to 100 supply, and Happy, with some really smart movement, was able to win that game before the expansion in the middle had paid off for Foggy.
Right.
Getting to 100 supply Gargs. Once you're there, really hard to deal with that one. Especially if there's a Dreadlord involved. But yeah. Oh, there we go. There it starts now. Finally, Dreadlord third for XlorD to get this aura. Hopefully, Happy has been doing a lot of sleep first, which I really don't think is the best choice against so many Dryads. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. You definitely don't want to get all your Novas mana burnt away. You do want to set up the fight with a lot of Novas on the Hippogriff, so the sleep can help to prevent that mana burn, I suppose, but the aura overall is going to be very helpful. Okay, a lot of buildings moving over now. The Shredder, the Shop, the Wisps, the Tree of Eternity, of course. Yeah, you mentioned Happy versus Foggy. On Concealed Hill, it almost always comes down to main bases ran out. Who's going to hold this high ground? If Happy's very far ahead, he'll hold the high ground. If not, generally always Foggy just tries to hold on. And LawLiet is so good in these positions, though. I mentioned this at the start of the game, but he's getting 2 Ancient Protectors now. He's got 3 Moonwells on the way. He's got Wellspring for that as well. He's moving his Shop. And his Shredder's going to be here to help, too. He's going to be so well set up by the time XlorD's ready to fight.
Yeah, the sick thing for Happy in that series was Foggy claimed the high ground, but Happy, realizing that he could just bypass that fortified position, was running past the middle and just sniped the expansion, which was completely unprotected at that time, which is also the case here. This Expo absolutely not protected by any kind of towers and could be assailed potentially. But here in the middle, LawLiet's going to be greatly favored in a fight.
The Shop going to be focused. Not too much needed from that Shop currently, but definitely worthwhile to keep it alive. The Roar this time hits the Hippogriffs, and you mentioned how impactful it is. We're seeing it now, plus 17 with the 3-3 upgrades. XlorD has 3-2 upgrades, so pretty even. Not going to make a huge difference. There was no retrain to Thorn's Aura quite yet. That could come back to bite LawLiet. If he loses this air fight, that's definitely what it will come down to, is the lacking of that Thorn's Aura.
What XlorD is trying to do here is bait LawLiet to sending these hippos too early and then easily Nova them and do a lot of AoE damage. It's smart by LawLiet to keep the hippos back and just poke with the heroes. Don't chase in with the hippos. Be very conservative. Be very careful because, of course, air units clump up and Nova has no damage cap. So the damage potential for Nova against clumped up hippos is absolutely insane. But LawLiet playing around it very nicely.
Ooh, yeah, and XlorD's getting heal scrolls, protection scrolls now. That's something LawLiet is desperately missing, Remo. He doesn't have heal scrolls. And if one crucial Nova lands, there's one Nova right away. The Moonwells are going to help with that at least, though. But if a couple of those land before the fight, there's not a heal scroll to help with that damage taken. So this really could come down. LawLiet just doesn't have the time right now to go to the shop and get heal scrolls, nor does he really have the inventory slots.
All right, this is going to be the big attack. Can XlorD make this work? This is pretty much make it or break it. All in attack against the expansion here on the high ground. There's 2 APs here. There's Moonwells. There's a shop. Perhaps even the Tree of Eternity who could help out. XlorD is going to take this fight, or is he going to, again, ignore this position and attack elsewhere? Like Happy did. Seems like that might be the plan.
Yeah, it's tough to break this high ground for sure. So I think forcing the fight outside and, you know, killing all the production, killing all the full Moonwells and the altar. does LawLiet want to fight over these buildings? I think he could still win a fight without his 2 APs. His army's very, very strong. It seems to be scarier than XlorD, but both players, 90 supply, pushing to 100 currently. Coil Nova on the Keeper to start us off. And the Moonwells are sort of out of position for that Keeper to heal up. Pit Lord third for, I imagine, Howl of Terror in the air fight. All right, this is going to be one big fight. It might be over within seconds, though.
All right, they're flying in. Howl of Terror applied. Lots of Dispel is needed here. Scroll of Protection as well. Scroll of Healing is also activated. We had the first Nova committing bit time. There's level 2 Dark Ritual on the Lich, by the way, so he's got tons of mana to use. The Gargs are destroying the air battle, if I'm seeing that right. DK gets level 5 pretty quickly. Death Knight, by the way, without a TP, getting focused now in a second. Immo Potion is just barely going to get him out of there. Lich also losing HP. XlorD so far having a good fight over here, but still supply lead for the Night Elf. Dreadlord now getting focused next. He's dropping low, but there is a coil, should be able to save him. He has to sleep now as well, using it on the Demon Hunter. That one getting slowed down, but just for a bit. Bay on the ground now getting cleaned up. Level 5 on the Lich. Super strong Nova now coming in. But the DK getting focused once more. Entangle not getting dispelled. The Destroyer dispel on cooldown. And the hero goes down. The one mistake that might cost the game in the end. Invo Potion on the Lich going to save him for a couple of seconds. 7 to be precise, but the Dreadlord is going to fall. More experience for the Night Elf heroes, both on level 5. Hoping for that level 6 here potentially soon. Can the Lich do it on his own? Seems pretty unlikely. Heal Potion there on the Demon Hunter was absolutely huge. Changing after the Lich, and the Entangle secures the kill. GG called. And 2-0 for LawLiet.
Wow, the Undead getting nuked here. Triple kill on LawLiet's side. What a fight. Yeah, I thought for a bit this is not looking too great with all the hippos disappearing. But damage was done, and he couldn't clean up the ground as fast as he wanted to. Heroes were there. Mana was there. What a sick game this was. And what a sick series, man. First time ever LawLiet versus XlorD. The Korean takes it 2-0. Now a 200% win rate against XlorD. If I did my math correctly.
I think that's pretty precise math there, Neil. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Concealed Hill just always delivers in this matchup. It's always an exciting map at the highest level. And really, if XlorD, it's again, this is another thing that's easier said than done for XlorD, but if he keeps those heroes alive, that Death Knight in particular, maybe has a little bit more health, maybe has a potion of healing or a heal scroll extra or something like that at the end of the day. If he keeps his heroes alive, he still had a huge ground force and a few Gargs left over. So he definitely had the army to break that high ground expansion if his heroes were still alive, but that was really the weakness. The Death Knight was low, and LawLiet finds the hero kills, and still a very, very good series, though. A nice tactical series. You love to see it.
Yeah, I certainly agree. This was really cool. It felt like they know each other inside out, but LawLiet just this tiny bit better. Pretty much outplayed him on LR. XlorD did good adjustments on CH, but expansion timing was real good. Execution was real good. Once again, distracting so much with the Zappelins. In both games, the Zappelin played a big role. And who is also playing a big role is Robond NL, because the big $260 donation is coming from him, boosting us up to $4,000. Little reminder from yesterday, if we reach 5,000, Remo is going to share his secret creep routes to War3 Gym.
Correction. 5,141.
True.
And you said you'd share 2 as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Gotta save some for season 8, 9, 10, and beyond, right? We also got $5 by Hippo. I heard human players were doing well, so got to increase the prize pool to balance out the earnings by race for this year. Hippo has such a cool sense of humor, man. It's a little underrated, I feel. But yeah, great guy. Thank you very much for the contributions here. Hate Love Rage gifting us up to Grubby. Thank you very much. And we have a bracket that tells me that more Korean Warcraft is coming your home screen, because now LawLiet is waiting for his opponent. It is gonna be a Korean, that's for sure, because the next 4 players are all from South Korea. Focus versus Mikhail, our game, and Sok versus Soen on the B stream today. That is the OC drummer. Go check him out. He's really great. We might even steal him and put him on back to Warcraft soon, because he's that damn good. In the lower bracket, tomorrow, Colorful versus Todd. Labyrinth waiting for his Korean opponent there as well. 15 Sway waiting for an opponent, and Shao Kai waiting too. Chemico, Krav, and Spiral eliminated thus far. Way more action coming to your homes here soon, but we are here to celebrate War3 Info, of course, and War3 Info is the greatest server that this game has ever seen, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Thousands of people are playing there, so the workload is getting bigger as well, and the team is actually not big enough anymore to deal with all this. So you guys, one of you, or a couple of you, 3,870 people right now, could help out if you're keen with social media or writing news. That would be super helpful to get more information out, spread the word across the internets with all the tools that we got. So if you are willing to do that, hit up the team on their Discord. Same goes if you want to volunteer for moderation and report review, because there are of course reports here. If someone flames in game, this needs to be reported. Want to keep this as clean as possible. And this is done by human beings. It's not the machine that sits behind all these reports and kicks and bans and timeouts. No. This has to be done maybe by one of you. The mod team really needs support. So maybe you guys can step it up a little bit. We also need some coders for JavaScript, .NET, jQuery, and Rust for network engineering. Of course, graphic artists always welcome too for all the art that must be done for the server. Hope you guys can help out if you have some spare time. We give you some spare time to maybe think about it, maybe contact the guys of War3Champions on their Discord. Safit is a great guy to contact. Floss 2x Daily is a great guy to contact. Maybe Abe as well. Not 100%. You will find the guys. We go into a little break and then we have a Korean classic in Focus versus Mikael. See you in a bit.